For this project, we chose to explore the relationship between GPA and the BADS-DEX score to determine if there is a correlation between academic success and behavior, cognition, and emotion. So for our specific research question, we wanted to know, is there a correlation between GPA and BADS-DEX scores in first-year graduate students?
The setting of this research took place in the CDIS 610 course at MSU in both 2015 and 2016. The participants included 2015 and 2016 first-year graduate students. The data sources used were GPA and BADS-DEX.
The data was collected, the BADS-DEX was collected in class using Socrative, which is an online classroom tool, and we selected between 0 and 4, and it collected the student scores that way, and the GPA was previously collected based off of each student's graduate application when they entered grad school. So for our data analysis,
as far as quantitative, we looked at a t-test, and we'll show you the picture here. So on this t-test, we saw the figure 0.864 for correlation, and that's really not showing a correlation at all. In fact, it's saying we're like 15% sure that these items correlate. And BADS-DEX showed a significantly low correlation as well with 0.49. Again, that's like saying we're only 50% sure that these two correlate. And the correlation overall between these two measures, GPA and the BADS-DEX, was also low at 0.406. And again, we need like 0.05 for anything to be significant. So these numbers did not show any sort of correlation.
All right, then for qualitative analysis, we kind of looked into the BADS-DEX a little more, and it is comprised of 20 items that sample 4 different domains: emotional, motivational, behavioral, and cognitive. Within those, an example of emotional would be, I sometimes get overexcited about things and can be a bit over the top at these times. An example of a motivational would be, I am lethargic or unenthusiastic about things. A behavioral would be, I tend to be restless and can't sit still for any length of time. And a cognitive example would be, I have trouble making decisions or deciding what I want to do. All of these items are then rated in terms of frequency on a 5-point scale, so 0 being never and 5 being very often. 4 being very often, excuse me. We are looking to see if a higher GPA would contribute to a lower DEX score. And based on what the DEX is measuring, we kind of hypothesize that a person with a higher academic motivation, so their GPA, would have more emotional stability and cognitive capabilities. Therefore, they would score lower on the BADS-DEX. With that said, we also assumed that a lower GPA would result in higher scores on the DEX because based on a lower motivation in school, but we ran into a selection bias in our population when we realized that our lowest GPA was 3.2, which is still considerably high.
Okay, so our results, the t-test results indicate that there is no correlation among the groups, both high and low GPA, in their abilities in cognition, emotions, and behaviors. There is no significant correlation between GPA and BADS-DEX scores overall. This indicates that there is no relationship between how successful a person is in school and their personality in everyday life. We ran into some limitations too, and there was selection biased populations that were used, considering we were all graduate students in a competitive program. We all had fairly high GPAs ranging from 3.2 to 4.0. We also all had fairly low BADS-DEX scores, with the highest being 1.87 compared to the highest that it could be is 4.0. And we are also mostly white monolingual students, which all create bias in the research population. And a few implications. The motivation to achieve high scores in college doesn't have any impact on how a person responds to everyday life situations involving motivations. And in a way, the DEX measures personality traits in certain situations. It is not accurate to make statements about a person's GPA or their success in school and their personality in everyday life. So overall, there is no correlation between the BADS dex and the GPA.